The Fantastic Four have joined the MCU in Fantastic Four First Steps. It's a new beginning for Marvel's first family, but one of the biggest surprises in it for hardcore fans are cameos from the original cast of the 1994 version of Fantastic Four. On July 22nd, shortly after the LA premiere of the movie, I had the honor of teaming up with CineFile Video to host a screening of the 1994 version of Fantastic Four and run the Q&A with three members of the cast and the director. The event was recorded, and now you can check it out here. I'm Ben Wan, and this is Superhero Stuff You Should Know. Well, welcome everyone. I'm Ben Wan from Superhero Stuff You Should Know. We are a podcast specializing in nostalgic superhero movies.
Lost media such as unmade scripts, deleted scenes, unused concept art, and for tonight, unreleased
superhero movies. As you can see, I brought some friends with me, so I'm going to introduce everybody. Please welcome the director of the Fantastic Four 1994, Oli Sassoon.
Happy to be here. Thank you guys for watching the film tonight. Thank you.
Yes. We also have Ben Grimm himself, Michael Bailey Smith.
That's right. Thank you.
Zooming in from Latveria, the original Dr. Doom, the first to don the mask and the hood, Joseph Culp. And with us in person is the original Sue Storm. If the Fantastic Four is considered to be Marvel's first family, then Sue Storm is Marvel's first lady. Please welcome our first lady, Rebecca Staub. So, in the making of this movie, you guys might have seen the documentary from Doomed on the behind the scenes, and we got to hear about behind the scenes process, and some of it was on how a lot of actors auditioned for this. In fact, who was listed in the documentary were many people who auditioned for Dr. Doom: Nick Cassavetes, Titus Welliver, Mark Ruffalo before he became the Hulk, yet they were all beaten out by Joseph Culp. Oh, really?
Yeah.
So, Rebecca, Michael obviously got the roles over other actors as well. So, Oli, as the director of this movie, what did you feel made the perfect qualities in terms of Michael being Ben, Joseph being Dr. Doom, Rebecca being Sue Storm? What made all of these actors perfect for these roles?
They sounded and acted like the characters that Stan Lee had created, first and foremost. Because I had, once I got the job, I studied as much as I could beyond what I've already known about the Fantastic Four. Went to the Golden Apple Comics and bought up every first edition that was a reproduction of the first edition, and then bought the bound copies of the subsequent editions. And everything was happening so quickly. It just, when these actors walked in, they just personified to me. And I don't know, sometimes you just don't want to think about it too much, but you just want to feel it. And obviously, the physical appearance of an actor in regards to playing a well-known character is a major factor in starting the process. However, there has to be a feeling that comes from your heart and your soul and your gut that just says, when you're listening to an actor and an actress do the lines and play the role for the first time in front of you, it goes beyond, in fact, my own imagination of what I thought that these characters are supposed to be like when they're like flesh and blood breathing characters. And all of during the process, it was just those things that these folks, these actors had just, the bells and whistles started to go off, and it's just a gut feeling, man. And I just thought, and talking with, and I get opinions, I'm looking at the casting director and I'm going, well, I just think this is the right person for it. And this is why I think this person should play Dr. Doom. This person should be Ben Grimm. And obviously Michael, having the physicality that he has, and that was, and I'm not saying it was, that in itself was an obvious choice, but it certainly gave me the idea that this is what I think the comic book characters and what Stan Lee and what the fans would expect to see. And that goes for all of the actors that we cast in the film. But I just felt deep in my gut that they were the right person for the job at that time. I mean, I could go on, but I don't want to take up everybody's time with this. But I'm just saying the talent and what I felt just was there. It was palpable, and they got the gig.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we all agree that you picked the right people. So,
yes, indeed.
Yes. This movie, in a lot of fan circles, is referred to as Roger Corman's Fantastic Four, and since he was the producer of this movie, Roger passed, unfortunately, last year, and so I thought we should take the opportunity to pay tribute and honor him, and I'd like to ask you all to share your memories of working with Roger. We can start with Rebecca, since she's right here.
Well, I'll move quickly on to the guys, because I don't really remember that much about Roger himself. I mean, he wasn't in on the auditions, and I don't know. I mean, if he was around that much when we shot, I don't know. I don't remember that much, that I don't have really specific memories of him, because I mean, it was just us, because we were on such a crunch. There was just no time and no money, and it was the epitome of collaboration. And so I don't know, I think anything that wasn't immediate just was a little bit outside of my focus, that I was just kind of focusing on what we were doing. So I feel bad to say that I don't really have specific stories, but hopefully the guys do.
Right. Well, for me, I'll jump in. Roger Corman was really more of a presence around this film. I don't remember seeing him actually once. Maybe I saw him once, but I was, of course, in.
You couldn't see anything anyway.
Couldn't see anything. I couldn't see 3 feet in front of me without someone, saying this way. But I was tickled to my core that I was finally getting to make a film for Roger Corman. I'd grown up with all his movies. I said, I'm making a Roger Corman movie finally. It's like every actor has to go through that if you're in that era. The guy who made Beast from Haunted Cave and Attack of the Crab Monsters, I'm there. I was a kid watching those horror movies. And in no small part, my love of horror movies and monsters went absolutely into launching myself as Dr. Doom. It was really an extension of all of that childhood stuff. And Roger Corman is largely responsible for a lot of that. So I was tickled that was happening. And though I have to say, what did he do for us? He gave us the tightest schedule imaginable. I think we may go down, no one's checked this, but we might go down history for another first, which is the shortest schedule to ever shoot a superhero film in the history of movies. I'm pretty sure that's true.
Yeah, I have to go take my dog out. He's got a little bathroom. But let me just tell you real quick, just from my experience, during filming, never saw him.
Okay, so it's not just me. I don't feel bad then. I'm like, God, how come I don't remember?
But me and Alex spearheaded the whole promotional thing. Once the film was done, that's when we engaged with Roger a little bit. I met him a few times. We had to get promotional pictures. He's like, why do you need those? We're going to sell this, we're going to promote it, all that stuff. So then, and of course we engaged with him during Doom, the documentary, and that's one. And to me, he was a gentleman, Yeah, the voice of, I don't know, a god. He would just the voice was just like this smooth, comforting type of a voice that just made you feel like you're at home. It really did. So, but that was my impression of him. Okay, I'm gonna turn my camera off. I have to go let the dog out.
Good luck, Ben.
Well, let me just say I had made 2 movies for Roger prior to being called to do the Fantastic Four, and the first film just look. First of all, I agree with everything that Michael just said about Roger being a gentleman. I mean, he got so many big filmmakers got their break there. James Cameron, Ron Howard, Francis Coppola, Martin Scorsese. I mean, just to name a few, that all started with Roger Corman. They all made their first feature films with Roger Corman. And Roger was not only a good producer, he was a filmmaker. Roger directed movies, shot movies. And yes, certainly he was the king of the B movie. And everything we had to use in terms of making the film were, old cameras and short ends and recans of film and so on and so forth. And I recall on my first movie for Roger, the director's chair that I had was torn up and nobody could sit in it anymore. So I asked the prop department, I said, please, would you just go out and please get us a couple director's chairs so we have something to sit in, one for me and one for the cameraman. And he comes back with the 2 director's chairs and he's had our names embroidered on the back and all this really fancy stuff. And I thought, okay, that's great, man. Now we've got something to sit in and go to work. Well, when we wrapped the film, my last check deducted 2 director's chairs. And I thought, and I just looked and shook my head and said, it's okay. It's Roger.
That's
it's
right.
all good. And but
Oh my God.
I'll never forget when he called me to make the Fantastic Four. I didn't hesitate. And like Michael said, he did have this godlike, interesting, smooth voice. And I'll never. He called me on the phone and goes, "Hello, Oli, it's Roger. How would you like to do the movie, The Fantastic Four?" And I said, "Are you talking about like the Marvel comic Fantastic Four?" And he said, "Yes, I am. Would you like to do it?" And I said, "Hell yes." And I knew from working with Roger and the experience with the director's chairs and everything else that we've gone through over there, that I knew it was probably going to be on a shoestring. But at the time, you're young and you're hungry and you're going after stuff. And it was the freaking Fantastic Four. So it didn't matter to me. And Roger was, and I'll say something about Roger. He would look at the dailies from your film for the first 2 days, and he could tell if you knew what you were doing or not. And he would look at the dailies and he said, okay, this guy's good or this girl's good. They're good to go. And every now and then he'd just breeze by the set just to take a look, but he'd let you make the movie. He'd let you shoot the film that you wanted to shoot. He never came back and said, no, this is no good, or no, you got to do it this way or that way. I mean, and I've experienced that, afterwards doing a lot of episodic television. And I look back fondly at the movies and the hard work and everything we did for Roger. It's some of the best years of my life and my career, because it was just that. We were like, hey, let's go make a movie and let's have some fun and go shoot a film. And we all did it. And that's what I loved about Roger, is he let you make your movie.
Yeah, I was going to say a similar thing is that I actually did 2 Roger Corman films. I did Fantastic Four, and I did this one called Stray Bullet that we actually shot in Ireland, because Corman had just built a studio over there, and they built like this manor house as well that they were going to use as a set. But to save money, myself, the lead actor, who was Robert Carradine, and the director, the DP, and the editor, we all stayed in the manor house as well. So, of these two movies, same thing, like no time, no money, but nobody ever interfered. And so that was kind of a nice thing too. It's like, they kind of hand you the purse, and it's like, as long as you can do what you need to do within this boundary, go ahead. And of my entire career, I always talk about these two movies because of the conditions and the situations, you bond. I mean, the word that I always use, that I just used before as well, is just collaboration, because it's like, if you're not a team, this isn't going to work. And those two movies were like it. It's like, we have to do our best so that, what is on the screen, I mean, we're responsible for this. And so, yeah, the fact that it's like, here's the money and they just kind of let you do it. Those two films are probably the two lowest budget projects I've ever done, but two of my absolute favorite times in life and creativity and collaboration. So.
And praise to Roger Corman, because he may have been the last that would ever do that.
Yeah.
That would hand you the purse and say, go make the movie. I trust you. That does not exist anymore.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. You have 100 people, which, is why we dare say, may see varying results, shall we say, with a lot of the product out there.
One other thing too, right, with the limitations that happen when you don't have the big budget, I've noticed that what has to come through is the character, is the heart and soul of stuff. Because some of my favorites of superhero media are not always the movies, but a lot of times it's the television shows, when they, like, you were part of Superman and Lois, and there are many episodes where Superman might be in like one scene in the entire episode, but so much of the story is about the characters and making you care about that it sort of enthralls you even when you don't have the benefit of that spectacle. So I do think that's another advantage.
Yeah. I was going to say that maybe
story and character. That's what we had.
Related or unrelated, I don't know where this really fits in, but it only hit me the other day when I was doing an interview with this gal from the New York Times, which should come out this week. And it kind of hit me because she kept asking me questions, but framing it as a superhero movie. And it hit me that at the time, I personally never thought of this as a superhero movie. We were doing a comic book movie, because there really wasn't the whole rage of superhero movies yet. I think only the first Batman had been out at that time, maybe. That, my point of view, it was like, well, we were making a movie about a comic book, that it wasn't so much. And so I think that that's also where the heart and soul of this movie, and why it's, even without the release, that it stood the test of time. Because from the writing and every meeting that we have and every scene that we would talk about, we made this movie for the fans, because we knew the comic book people knew what was going to be on the screen, and like, we better not disappoint them. And I think indirectly, that's why every time another one comes out, they're like, yeah, but there's something about that first one. And you go, well, because it was about the comic book. It wasn't necessarily about the superheroes. I mean, to me anyway.
Interesting.
Absolutely right. Absolutely.
Yeah, very, very cool. Very astute.
And the other thing too is that for our film, and I really felt that, is it's about family, right? And that's the core of us. It's, me and Reed, right? That relationship there, that bonding. We went to college together, those things like that, class together, all those things. And so there's that part. And then you have, Johnny and Susan, right? The siblings. And then they stay in they live in the house that we stay at, right? And so all that's kind of like a family bond has been built. And then you have Joseph playing Dr. Doom is threatening that family. And so
I'm the part of the family too. I'm the black sheep.
You are.
I've been cast out.
So, I mean, when Grant Curtis called us, and asked us, that we want you in this film for this new one, the one thing he said to me is that this film is about, like yours, it's about family, and that's how we want to treat it. So, and that's how it, when we saw that last night, it definitely was, that was a big impression.
Yeah, I think with our film too, and I apologize to these guys because they've heard me say it so many times, but it goes back to what you had asked Oli in the casting. And I talk about it every time that the five of us, including Joseph, because it's really the Fantastic Five, kind of seven because it's Oli and Carl, that we were all so similar in real life to our characters, and we still are. That I guess it kind of came through in the casting office when Oli said, I don't know, there was just something about them. But it's so funny that again you go 30 years later, we're all still, Sue's kind of the cheerleader, the come on team, we're a family, and Joseph.
I want to rule a country and take over the world, which is true.
Yeah, and Michael's the gentle giant, and Alex is always kind of bossing us around, and it was always cracked me up because that's the thing when we were talking to Grant, who produced this latest one. When we were shooting, he was saying, he goes, it's so easy to watch your movie because I don't feel like anybody's really acting. He's like, these characters are just, he goes, you're just real people. And I was like, yeah, because it's pretty much who we were anyway. And, we had the script and the dialogue, but it made the relationship between us like so easy and fast and close. And Jay, who was playing Johnny Storm, was literally my neighbor. Like he lived like 4 blocks away from me in Los Angeles. What are the odds of that? And so our shooting schedule, we were pretty much always on camera together. So I'd pick him up and we'd drive to work together and back and forth every day. And you go, like, what's more family than that? So, it's just...
you said a really cool thing, Rebecca. I just want to piggyback on that, which is that, what happened with the superhero movies as it became mainstream, you could say that, we're also in an era where the actor is encouraged, maybe in some ways through casting or through just the way they're perceived themselves, to bring the character down to them. And we did not that. We brought ourselves up to the characters.
Oh, yeah.
They are the important archetypes. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
It's not, Dr. Doom is not Joseph. Joseph lifts himself to Dr. Doom and tries to fill those shoes. That's a very different concept. And I think because we're in the era of celebrity, and it's very unconscious that actors say, well, this is just about me and kind of how I'm perceived. And we didn't do that. So that's why I think he's saying, like, you guys just are the characters. I just believe who you are, because there's nothing in the way of that. We are the Fantastic
5, 6, 7.
Yes, indeed.
So I do have to ask this because the news has kind of gotten out. This has been kind of perfect timing for our event, actually, because last night was the premiere of Fantastic Four: First Steps, and a picture came out that put a smile on all of our faces, which was the 4 of you on the blue carpet, also in blue, I noticed.
Yep.
So that was great. Tell us about your experience as in terms of being at the premiere, as well as, the news is out. Hollywood Reporter has revealed this. They're in the movie. They're a cameo in the movie. Yep. So share what you can on how they came together, because it is a great sort of a full circle moment of being denied being even released as these versions of the characters, and now here you are in the new version.
Yeah. Well, there were a lot of, it was just last year, spring, whatever, when I heard that they were doing this incarnation. I just had a new manager, and so kind of as a challenge, it's like, if you think you're so great, I have a project for you. They're doing the new Fantastic Four, we've wanted to be in all of them, and let's make it this one. And, I kind of, when we were shooting ours, back, it was over Christmas of 92. Everybody talks about 94, but we shot it like 92, 93. And I had just gotten a home movie camera, like for Christmas, got it early. So while we were shooting, I have all of this like behind the scenes stuff that I didn't really take camera pictures, that I have all this video, which now is like locked away in storage, which is a whole totally different story, that it feels like it's in Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's like it exists, but I've got to find it somewhere. And so I was kind of using that as the carrot to my manager, because if they ever release our movie, I'm like, I have behind the scenes footage that nobody has, and that's like a bonus. So if you get us in this movie, these things. So it was just kind of threw it out there. I'm making this story way too long. I apologize. But he, called the casting director and found out like a month later. It's like, yeah, come in and have a meeting with them, because these days there aren't any meetings with casting directors, because ever since COVID, we don't audition live with people anymore, which is a real shame that we have to self-tape. So you never get to meet anybody anymore. And so much of that is the chemistry and the energy, that Oli was talking about. So I was like, wow, I get to go in and meet Sarah and Molly, thinking it would be, 10 or 15 minutes. Went in, sat down, talked to them for over an hour, just yik-yakking, blah, 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 great relationship. And, they basically said at the end, it'd be great if we could have you guys in the movie, but, the script's tight, it's locked, they're shooting in London. So there's absolutely no way, but we would have loved it. But, it was nice to meet you, and thanks for coming, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, well, okay, kind of went on. And then it was just the very end of March. She emails me, and she said, could you give me your phone number? Because Grant Curtis, our executive producer, wants to call you. And I'm like, even I said, there we go. And she's like, wow, thank you for the quick response. It's like, what does he want? And so she said, he's still in London, so he'll, give you a call in the next day or two. And called and basically said, we've been batting it around the whole time that we've been shooting. We would love to have you guys in. We love your version so much of what you guys did in your movie. We're trying to do in ours, and I hope we do it justice. I hope we were able to do it as successfully as you guys did. And he just said, we would love to have you. And it was impossible because we were in London, but we just found out with our shooting schedule, we're going to have 3 days in LA. So he says, we're going to figure out how to put you guys in. And he said, what's kind of we're bouncing around is there's some news reporters. So we'll probably sprinkle you guys throughout. There's no way we're going to be able to put you together at all, but, there's just going to be little Easter eggs, and we'll work it out, as it gets closer. And then I said, do you have the number for the boys? And which I thought was super cool, that the executive producer of the film, wanted to call everybody individually. And so as soon as, then I got these guys, I just confirmed their phone numbers to make sure without saying exactly what it was going to be, because it's a nice surprise. And so it ended up coming out. And then what was really cool is when we were there shooting, we were down at in Manhattan Beach Studios, and they were doing like a whole second unit kind of behind the scenes about us. And we're just like, wow, because, we're just kind of so used to being on the fringe and the edge of everything, and they treated us so well. And then Matt wanted to do almost like a Magnificent Seven. It's like when you guys all get dressed, and had us just line up. We had to walk pretty far down the street to where the green screen was, where they were shooting. And he just had everybody lined up, and they were clapping and cheering. And I think it was Jay. He's like, wow, we've really gone full circle, So that was, so we were there, and they, each had, individual things for us to do. And yeah, we all made it into the movie. It's Easter eggs, you got to be watching. But yeah, it was really nice. And then they had us all at the premiere, and
just to clarify that wonderful story.
I just have to say, Rebecca, everybody looked terrific, but you looked absolutely stunning. You look so beautiful.
Yes.
The blue dress and
and the white gloves. I was like, is it going to be too much? Is it too on the nose? But if you're gonna dress like that, that's the time to dress like that.
It was great. It was classic. You look beautiful. But go ahead, Joseph. Sorry.
No. Just to clarify for anyone curious, so I am not in a cameo in this film, because I think they just wanted the 4 to launch the 4, and that made a lot of sense. So what we can do is just hope that, who knows, when Doom makes his next appearance, there may be some way for me to hijack that. We'll see.
There will be, she said, because I wanted to give. I said, "Oh, I have Joseph's number. You've got to call him too." And she said, "This time it's just the 4. We love Joseph. We know him, and there will be a time and a place. So this time it's just the 4."
Lana,
So.
I'm hopeful on that. I think there should be. You know, just to, I don't know if we have to wrap this up or not, but I just been dying to say it really is such a significant moment, you know, that this recognition has finally come to a film that is beloved by, I would say, millions of people out there know this movie through, you know, bootlegs, through nefarious means. And it's unusual. In Hollywood history, I can't think of another film that has this kind of phenomenon around it. And the fact that, you know, last year, actually, you know, in the spring, I launched a campaign on change.org, which is basically a simple action to say, look, we know that there are many, many fans out there of the film. Isn't it enough time has gone by that it's would be great to release it and give it its due, and then in fact it is part of Marvel's, you know, iconic history now. It's you know, it is canon in the Marvel film universe, and it should be honored as such. And they have done that. It will happen more if they decide Marvel gets behind releasing. That will be the coup de grace. But this is definitely a first step, and I applaud them and think it's wonderful.
Indeed. You're here.
Michael, anything to add in terms of your experiences before we wrap?
With how this whole thing happened. Yeah, so when I got a text from Rebecca saying, "Hey, Grant Curtis from Marvel's going to call you," I'm like, "What?" And I'm like, and that I just hung on the last word saying, "Call me." I'm like thinking in my head, like, what? Wait, hold, they're filming the new Fantastic Four. Does that mean? Wait a minute. And then all of a sudden I get this phone call, and hi, this is Grant Curtis. I'm calling from London. I'm like, yeah, okay, this is really cool. And so, it was just really, and he said nothing but great things about our film. Like what Rebecca said, that it was just,
oh my God,
that he said that, you know, they watched our film, and he really enjoyed the performance and the relationship between Ben Grimm and Reed Richards, that camaraderie, and they want to duplicate that. And he said it's really, he goes, we're really on the set too. Matt Shankman, the director, Mitch, also producer, and Grant all said that it's really a shame what had happened to your film. He said, and we hope we can make some amends to this. And when I was on the call with him, I told him, I said, the day that we got that phone call to cease and desist was really a tragic day for us, because of all, not only for us as actors, and maybe that's a bit selfish, but for all the people that we touched for like almost a year of promoting this, children's hospitals and comic book stores and conventions where we saw little kids with their big bright faces. Did you know, on a plane, I took the VHS and put it in the VHS, which is back in the 90s, when there wasn't fancy electronics to show, you know, how to put on a seatbelt. And they played the trailer on the plane, and everybody cheered. I mean, we promoted this all the time. And so,
oh man,
to see that film not be released and disappointed so many people. And I told him, but that's where I learned a valuable lesson. And there's a saying why they call show business, because it's not show friends. It's about making money. And that's why this film was shelved, was because of that. And so I said that I understand that portion of business, but as actors and the craft and the art, that's the part that's disappointing. So,
yeah, because there's also art, and art gets appreciated, and there were, I think, generations of fans who missed seeing this and still do want to see it, and in a way that is, you know, commensurate with what a fun and fine film it really is. So, you know, here's to the future on that.
Yes, indeed. But I just have to say because I wasn't there or didn't talk to any of the producers, but Rebecca called and Michael called, and they told me what was happening, and of course you couldn't say anything to anybody because they signed
Serious
NDAs, and I promised,
yeah.
and I said I'm not going to say a word about this. Don't worry, but I got to tell you, it is like some sort of vindication in a way, and the fact that they gave our film a nod by inviting this wonderful cast into the film just made me. I'm still, after looking at the photographs from last night that they sent me at the premiere, it really it's almost surreal in a way but the elation and I just feel like they've invited us finally to be part of the Marvel family and the Marvel universe in this world that we've all been thinking about and living in and working in, and what we've done as we all put our heart and soul into it. But we've finally got a seat at the table with the Marvel family, and that's what I felt,
Ole, something else and Rebecca can attest to this too. There was not one person on the set that said, "Oh, it's you." Not one. Everybody welcomed us with open arms. The director, every producer, everybody, period, knew who we were, where we came from, and they welcomed us. It was like
so beautiful.
It was like the long lost family is finally found, and we brought into the fold.
I think that's a great ending for this film. So thank you very much for everybody. We have been given the time to wrap, but thank you for joining us. We are about to watch the movie as well over here. So wish you could be here with us. There you go.
And here's to the future, my friends.
And we're back. And joining me now is my co-host, Alex, a.k.a. Dr. Doomcaster.
Hey, guys.
Lift his glasses off.
Yeah, I have to be all dramatic with it. But yeah, it's great to be back. The interview went great with John. And yeah, like it was really great talking to him in person, actually. Because I know, obviously, last time we did it virtually. So it was really cool just talking to him on the floor. Definitely a different experience for me because I don't think I've ever done an in-person interview before this. So that was definitely like a different kind of thing. Most of my interviews have been virtual. So definitely a different kind of thing. It's better. Like any kind of podcasting. No offense, Ben, but any kind of podcasting is kind of better when you're like in person.
Right.
With the
there's only so much that we can do too.
Yeah. We gotta. Whenever I come back to LA, we gotta do the in person thing. We won't have to worry about internet or anything.
Yeah.
So
cool, for this month, Alex and I have split up to cover interviews on different coasts. You guys just heard the Fantastic Four one, and then presumably, I think release schedule wise, the one with John Jackson Miller will probably be beforehand, but it was kind of our own little way to split off in terms of solo different events. And we kind of joke that this is our Batman Forever thing. What do you suggest, Alfred? By sea or by air?
Yeah. Why not both?
Exactly. So while I had this event with CineFile, Alex had his own interview on the side with John Jackson Miller at Batman Resurrection. So you've probably already heard it if you've been following the podcast. But if you haven't, then check that out. It's the previous episode. And there's also going to be in the same type of interview, but with some different questions in Night of the Batman. Am I correct?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Sweet. So, yeah, man, if you were here, I know you'd be here with me to join on a lot of these events because you've seen some of our guys who followed us in the past. I've covered some events that I've been to, including the 30th anniversary of Batman Returns and how that kind of turned into a convention based on that movie back in 2022. So, I know you would be here with me if you were on this side of the coast. So it's a shame that we weren't able to team up for the CineFile one or the John Jackson Miller one on your side, but we're just going to have to do what we can logistically. So the panel that we saw with the Fantastic Four has been in the works for a while. And if you've been a follower of this channel, I met a few of the people involved with this movie already. We've interviewed them on the show before, and we met them back in 2023 at LA Comic-Con. Funny enough, when I first met Alex and his wife Amanda. And this was before Alex was co-host, and so it was great foreshadowing, really, to have you there with me.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
yeah, it was a great experience. We did have a screening of the Doomed documentary where afterwards they brought Oli, the director, editor Glenn Garland, Joseph Culp, and the screenwriter Craig Nevius. And it was shocking to us because if you remember, like they didn't have any chairs for them. They kind of just were standing in front of the screen. There was no moderator, and they kind of just asked, "Does anyone have any questions?" And I was like right next to you. I was like the only one raising my hand to get questions in, and just in the back of my head, I'm like, "Hey, like, should I just go up and just impromptu moderate this just to for the to honor the fact that these guys are here?" Like, just give me the mic. I'm going up there.
Yeah, you're like,
So
give me this shit.
so afterwards, we brought everyone onto our show, including Craig Nevius, in what we found out would be his first interview ever on his time on this movie, since he was not on the Doomed documentary. He wasn't sure, how much the Doomed documentary was going to honor what they did, so he kind of opted out just in case. And so this was kind of our first experience getting to interview him, his first experience getting to talk about it. And I still think Craig wrote one of the best, if not the best, Fantastic Four scripts, especially covering the origin. And I did cover it in an old $5 tier Patreon episode sometime last year. But Alex, with you on board, I'd love to do a main show episode with you in reading through it, since I know, you'll read it, you'll have your own thoughts on it. So, you know,
Yeah.
look for that as an upcoming episode for covering Craig Nevius's original draft for Fantastic Four. It reads like the 1994 movie, but if they had like a bigger budget, so like more scenes, more sets, and more character development too. So
Hey, man.
that it was great reading through that.
Yeah, I'll say one thing too,
Mhm.
and it's something like it's everybody is entitled to their opinion. I don't know if Robert Downey Jr. is gonna be able to be as good as what we got in this original 90s like movie. I don't know. Like he's a great actor and I'm sure he'll do a great performance, but there's just something to this one. And
Mhm.
going into that too, I know that the actor who plays him wants to do like a updated visual effects. I think the thing that it wouldn't I don't think it would necessarily fit. I like the feel of this, like with the effects as is. I feel like if you tried this Star Trek, yeah, they do that with the old Star Trek where they'll put like modern effects and like the old like
Yeah, or
60s show. Like I don't
or they even do it with Star Wars too, with with Lucas going back and
yeah.
be like, let's put in some modern stuff into it and futz with it.
It wouldn't work. The only thing I would
Mhm.
say is to just upscale it. Just get the
Mhm.
original prints of it and then like I feel like even though like I told you this like off air, but I do kind of feel like a proud parent even though I had nothing to do with this cuz I'm just like yo, like this is so great. Like it's
Mhm.
like without going into it cuz obviously like you guys like obviously have watched it and I don't want to regurgitate too much, but it's just great to see this come full circle and to see them
Mhm.
finally get the accolades they need. And even thinking back to when I first met them, they weren't get like they did get some attention there, but like even then you were just like, well, I'll ask them, I'll give them the kind of attention that they need, basically. And that's what
Mhm.
this show's all about, is giving the spotlight to lesser known stuff. And so like I'm glad that other things are honoring that now too. And it bodes well that they thought to honor this like 90s version that some people say, despite budget, despite everything, this has still like persevered through the years, and that's really special.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I think that the year that we did it, they provided that venue for them to screen the documentary, but thankfully I was told by them they were much happier when we were able to go to LA Comic Con in 2024 for the 30th anniversary. Like
Mhm.
Craig was there, Glenn Garland was there, and Mark Sykes from casting joined us along with Jay Underwood, the original Johnny Storm, and Craig afterwards commented on how it was an upgrade because they actually got chairs. They had like a full panel stage this time. I'm like,
We
yeah,
can
because this
finally
is what you
sit.
guys deserve. So I'm just, it's amazing that it's like, oh, it came down to us to sort of put that out there to these conventions, like especially with this Fantastic Four movie, we like this should have been something that someone else had thought of, not just me. But yeah, like that kind of leads me into what I was going to reveal, which was what you guys just saw at Cinephile, the original plan, because I was aiming for the big one with Fantastic Four First Steps being released the same week as San Diego Comic Con here in 2025. I was going to have Oli, Joseph, Michael, Rebecca, everyone you saw at Cinephile. They were all down to come with me to San Diego Comic Con for a panel. We thought it'd be a great way to honor the original the same week the new one came out, right? And we'd be talking about the original movie, and they would get to meet more of the fans there. I obviously didn't know about the whole cameo thing at that time, and that would have been even more fortuitous if they had gone through with it. But yeah, we applied. We had another panel where we would pay tribute to the late Val Kilmer. San Diego Comic Con did not accept either panel. They put both panels on the wait list, and they never moved us up. And so they essentially said no. But something fortuitous happened as like a month ago or so. The folks at Cinephile posted, "Hey, we have plans to screen the 1994 Fantastic Four movie on the 22nd." And it's like the same week as the San Diego Comic Con one. And because they want to be in time for the MCU movie. And I was just thinking, it's the whole when one door closes, another door opens sort of thing where I'm like, I could just do the panel there then. Let me just do the
Yeah.
panel there. So I called up Louis Samra at Cinephile and said, "Hey, I was already planning on doing this at San Diego Comic Con. They said no. If I bring them to your event, would you be down for that and me doing sort of just a short Q&A podcast episode out of it?" And they're just like, "Sure, yeah, like let's get everybody over here, as much people as we can." So we made it happen, and I think it's kind of a little bit of the spirit of the '94 Fantastic Four movie here in terms of not giving up and being the underdog a little bit. Not like what we went through is anything close to what they had to go through 30 years ago, but still, like these guys, they put their heart and soul in this movie only to be let down by the people in charge who apparently had like no plans to release it and were only holding on to it for movie rights. And it's kind of funny how us as the fans who are supporting them and putting their, promoting them out there also kind of have our own uphill battles. Like I don't know Godzilla Mendoza personally on YouTube, but I know his stuff on the Fantastic Four movie from the 90s got hit by copyright claims from Constantine Films on YouTube. Oh, here's Alfie, who agrees with me. Here. Hello, Alfie.
Yeah.
We were put on the wait list for LA Comic Con last year. They originally did not accept us. We were originally not going to be able to do that until some scheduling thing changed at the last minute. And then being told by San Diego Comic Con this year, yeah, and there's all various reasons behind why that might be the case. I don't have anything against the convention itself. There's tons of people who are vying for spots here. I'm just saying that, we were told no a lot, and yet we found a way to make it happen. And I feel like that's very much in the spirit of what this movie has represented for the people behind the scenes and people who have watched the Doom documentary who know like the ins and outs of what happened based off of it. So we kind of just fit in with the same theme there with what happened. Other things I wanted to share with you, since you were with us in spirit, Alex, as well as other people who are watching this who weren't able to be there. I thought I would share a little bit more about some of the stuff that happened after the Q&A. So as you might have seen in the front, there was like a little table that I had there, and that was for after the Q&A, fans were able to come up, take pictures with Rebecca, have her sign some Fantastic Four memorabilia. One guy even had a poster, the 1994 poster, like he had the original poster
Oh wow.
for her to sign, which was insane. And I was really glad for her to be there because not everybody was able to be in town for that, as you could see. So people were told there was going to be a cast and crew Q&A, but even leading up to it, you never know what people's schedules, how if people are going to be able to make it. So we didn't necessarily say the specific people, but I'm glad somebody was there to be able to sign those things because people brought stuff. People brought stuff to be autographed, and I'm so glad that she was able to do that. I had Rebecca sign my copy of early Fantastic Four comics. I've been collecting.
Oh, so wait,
these,
show the camera.
Yeah.
Oh, you got how many
Yeah.
signatures you got in there?
We
Or is
have
that all
everybody
one
from the
thing?
Comic-Con panel. So at the top, we got Jay Underwood over here, where he even says
Nice.
Johnny Storm. We have a thank you from Mark Sykes over here. We've got another thank you from Glenn Garland, the editor. Mark Sykes also being the from casting, as well as one of the executive producers on the Doomed documentary. At the bottom is Craig Nevius. It's a little tough to see in this lighting, but yeah, Craig Nevius, the screenwriter, and then Rebecca signed over here. So
That's a good copy too.
That was yeah.
I have some of like the Spider-Man ones, like some of the Stan Lee, like the Masterworks and
Mhm.
stuff like that. Like the kind of same thing, except it's got the little dust jacket on it and everything. I got a few of those in my
Yeah.
room over there. But yeah, that
Yeah,
looks
no, I
good,
said
man.
I wanted to get the originals because I knew how much these movies evoked, specifically the 1994 one and a little bit of the new one. So we're sort of were evoking the old 60s stuff. So I'm like, I should get one. And then when we had the Comic-Con panel in 2024, I made sure like, okay, this is going to be my autographed copy. They're gonna sign this one. So since there's no official, at least official DVD or Blu-ray release for this one for me to have them sign. And so I had her sign
Not
this
yet.
as well as the Doom documentary. Not yet, indeed. Yeah. Rebecca also showed me pictures from the premiere, which she did end up showing on her Instagram. But this is the picture that she took with Vanessa Kirby. So we got the two Sue Storms meeting on ever at the premiere. I know you saw this as well, and it brings such a smile to your
She's
face, right, to
actually
see how
pregnant.
excited she is.
Yeah, she's actually pregnant though, the actress. I had no idea. The
Oh
the
yeah,
the
yeah,
actress is actually pregnant, right? I had no
yeah,
idea.
yeah.
Yeah,
That
that's
wasn't
like
during the
crazy. That
filming.
I'm sure they worked that in a little bit.
Well, that wasn't during the
Oh,
filming. She was
afterwards.
wearing a fake one during the movie, during the shooting of the movie. But she's now pregnant in real life for this. So that was
That's kind of
awesome to
cool.
see these pictures. And then as we were doing the autographs, playing in the background as like a pre-show, we showed clips from our show, previous coverage of the movie. We had Jay reprising his role as Johnny Storm. He did a comic book monologue for us at LA Comic Con. I was very tempted to give him the the Chris Evans Human Torch, Deadpool and Wolverine post credits monologue, but yeah, considering I believe he's a pastor now, I don't think that was going to fly. So I skipped that idea and just gave him a regular comic book monologue. I didn't think he was down for it. Jay, you can let me know if I was wrong on that. And then
He's like, "Man,
the
I
other
can't
video
say
was
this."
the other video was Joseph's Doom World monologue he did for us last year. Amazing. It was him reprising the role as well for the first time in 30 years, outside of him doing it, ins and outs of it in the documentary
That
and
would that would
our
be the
fan
only
conventions.
thing.
What was up?
If I would like going back briefly, that would be the only thing that I would have them go back and do is I would just have him, even if his voice sounds a little bit different, I would just
Mhm.
have him go back and try to ADR like match because you can't see his mouth. Like just go back
Yeah.
and redub those lines basically so you can actually hear them because that was just one of the other like small
Yeah.
just issues and it wasn't their fault like they were
Mhm.
gonna obviously go back and ADR it later but they just we know what happened we saw the
Yeah. Well, he was down to
documentary and
do it.
everything but
He's
yeah
still down to do it. He brought that up in the Doom
yeah
documentary. So
yeah
I'm sure that if that opportunity came about, he would jump on that for sure. And then the last thing we showed was the 1992 Silver Surfer fan film from USC film students. And again, it predates the Corman one a little bit, but it's one of those where, like, if you squint a little, it kind of feels like they're part of the same universe since it's also on it's the 90s and on a lower budget. So it's the closest we might see to a 90s style Silver Surfer in that world type of thing. So I talked to them about, hey, like, let's throw this in as part of the pre-show just to continue honoring these things that came before the big versions that we're seeing now. So
can you imagine if they had like ended up going and doing Galactus in the next one like what that would have obviously it would have been on the
mhm,
budget but I'm just trying I could kind of picture it honestly
I
like
can
a
too.
little bit like what their Galactus would be
Yeah.
yeah
Yeah, I'm sure there would have been a lot of camera tricks and miniature attempts at miniature type stuff. So that would have been awesome.
yeah
We did get to have reserved front row seats with Rebecca was there with a friend. I was there with my manager, Leander Nicholson, who helps with these events, these live events. So he's there for all the panels and this type of stuff. So thanks, Leander, as well, for helping to set up and take photos. But yeah, they gave us the front row to watch. So I sat with Rebecca and we got to see some special video intros that were shot specifically for this event. So Chris Gore of Film Threat did one where he's in the Doom documentary, but he kind of made his bones on Film Threat from reporting on the 1994 Fantastic Four from the set in terms of what was being made and what was being developed and all that. So he feels like he owes a lot to this film, and he did that intro. And then the other intro came from Marty Langford, who was the director of the Doomed documentary. So he had filmed his own video intro, sent that right before, um, sent that to us to play right before the movie. And his intro included some on screen text to encourage people to go on change.org, sign the Release Fantastic Four 1994 petitions. And you can check that out as well. Here, I've got the URL on the screen. We'll put it in the description below as well. But
Such a great
essentially,
shot right there.
yeah, Joseph says the numbers have been climbing recently, and I
Nice.
wouldn't be surprised. And that's, as of this recording, the movie is just coming out. So, the word has
Once people
spread
see the
that,
cameo, it's gonna help.
yeah, the word has spread that those cameos are out there. Yeah, so
Yeah.
uh, I'm glad too, considering the fact, like I say in the interview, timing wise, we did the event right after that was announced, so we could actually talk about it because I wasn't sure. I was originally just gonna hint around it and be like, check out the movie. It honors the original. You'll just have to see it to find out how. And then the fact that that was revealed beforehand, while originally shocking, was kind of like, actually, I'm really glad because now we can actually make it a thing when we're there. So
Definitely.
the other thing that was cool was that Marty Langford had upgraded a little bit of the movie in some way of the video. And Joe at CineFile also did some sound edits too, apparently, to it. So that was great. But yeah, a lot of people attending had never seen the film before. And so the fact that they got to see this upgraded version also made it really special too. So uh, fan reaction was awesome. You got people, you got laughter on some of the lower budget type stuff, like the wavy reed hand at the end. Like, I,
Hold on,
yeah,
the
I elbowed Leander, being like, "Check this out." But yeah, but there was also applause throughout. We had moments where people cheered with the thing being like, "It's clobbering time for real," or
Yeah.
with Doom's glove coming alive at the end. That got big reactions too.
Yeah.
And Leander, who's next to me, he's not a huge comic book guy or really into the Fantastic Four characters, but he was laughing and clapping along with everyone else. And at the very end, he turned to me and he was just like, "Dude, that was better than I thought it would be." And that seemed to be the sentiment where first timers who didn't really know what to expect, they came in and they found that they really enjoyed it and they could see why people love this version. So that was fantastic. I felt I also got
That's the
to
thing. But
go ahead.
that's the thing, isn't it? Like a lot of these things, like you hear about, right? Like, I'll give an example right now, like
Mhm,
the Captain America '90s movie. Like you just hear about that, and you're just like, oh, what's this gonna be? And then
mhm.
like you put it on, and yeah, like they're flawed, and they have like their lower budget moments, but like each of these movies, definitely, especially me with the Punisher '89 movie, give some of them a shot, man. You might find like some underrated gems out there, and this definitely the strength of this is how sincere it is. Like
Mhm.
it doesn't do the thing that a lot of modern movies do, where it's just like I'll compare it to something recently, like with like a Captain Planet thing where they came out with this. So like they were originally like they didn't end up doing anything with it, but they were going to do a Captain Planet movie where it was going to
Mm.
be like, oh, it's going to be irreverent and stuff like that. So I'm like, no, man, like you don't do that. Just I know it's a goofy concept, but you take the world seriously enough and like yeah, like maybe ground it a little bit more, make it a little bit more serious, but honor the characters, like have
Yeah.
that sincerity, honor the heart of it. And this definitely does that. There's no moment in this movie where there's like a well that just happened kind of moment
Mhm.
to it, like it's sincere, like, and for good or ill, like it wears its heart on its sleeve, and you don't really see that in a lot of like modern movies, and it's definitely an underrated aspect of this.
Yeah. It's like what Joseph was saying in the interview, where they sought to raise themselves up to the character rather than trying to bring the characters in the world down to them. Even in spite of the small budget that they had, they were still seeking to do that. And you can tell that they put their heart and soul into these performances and bringing these characters to life. So that's why people love it so much. Other people who were there at the screening, I got to meet with Drew Griffin from 1995 Batman. I'd actually talked with him a couple days earlier at the Batman Forever 30th anniversary screening at Santa Ana. So we had just talked before, but he came out to support. And then also met with the son of Doom. This is Jackson Culp, son of Joseph Culp, who is there. And
That's
he's
got to
featured in
be
the
a
Doom
title for
documentary.
a movie. That's got to be a
Son of
title
Doom.
for a movie in
Yeah.
Marvel in the future, like Son of Doom. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. I like that.
Yeah. So it was great to talk to him. I think I had briefly met him back when we met with Joseph in 2023 when we went to that LA Comic Con, but we got to have a little bit of a longer conversation. So love that. And yeah, obviously, CineFile is where we did this, and I wanted to thank a lot of people involved. Thank you to our guests, Oli, Michael, Joseph, Rebecca, especially for meeting me and the other fans in person. Chris Gore and Marty Langford for their special intros, and Marty for providing an upgraded version of the movie. But lastly, this would not have been possible without Cinephile Video. This place, as you can see, or as you saw in the interviews that we were doing, it kind of looks like the Criterion Collection closet, right, mixed with an old school Blockbuster when you were looking at the
Definitely.
footage. Yeah.
Yeah.
They are the last independent movie rental store in Los Angeles in the Sawtelle area. This place just drips with nostalgia in a place dedicated to physical media and enabling you to rent movies that you can't really find on streaming. You know, I first learned about them from one of the supporters of our show, Yeet Isak, and he, a few months back, we met there, and Yeet and I were like exploring the superhero section, and there are just so many hidden gems that you're not going to get on like HBO Max or other major platforms. You can rent the Corman Fantastic Four from there in case like Constantine Films keeps taking it off of YouTube, right? Warren Beatty's Dick Tracy is there. The Phantom with Billy Zane. Old Super Friends episodes.
Is
The
that
Super Friends
good?
is no longer on HBO Max. The Phantom.
Yeah.
Oh, I loved the Phantom when I was a kid. I haven't seen it in years, but I loved the Phantom. One of the best superhero suit translations too. With that suit they put on Billy Zane. So we should
He
definitely
should
cover
have
that.
been Lex Luthor, man. Like people have said it for years. Like he
Yeah.
should have been. I could totally see him as like a '90s like Lex Luthor if they had ever
Or
done
even the
it. Like,
Arrowverse. Nothing against John
yeah,
Cryer. I thought Cryer was great, but like if you had Zane in there, that's like the perfect. That was like the perfect last chance to have Billy Zane as Lex Luthor.
he
Was
would
the Arrowverse.
tower over Clark in that show. I felt because he's a pretty tall guy, right?
Yeah, I don't know what the comparison is between him and Tyler Hoechlin, but yeah, I mean he would have been good for that version of Lex. Again, nothing
I do
against
love
John Cryer. I
cutlets
thought Cryer was
though.
much better than people give him credit for, but
Yeah,
still,
I do love me some cutlets though. But still, like like
Cutlass was cool. Yeah,
yeah, just different vibes, definitely.
yeah. So if you're in LA and a film fan, superhero film fan, or fan of old movies, you need to check this place out. And again, not just for superhero movies, I've also been checking out the Uchida Toma's Musashi movies as research for my Musashi and Son, my manga, which I'm wearing the shirt for here. So
Nice.
all that type of
And I'm
stuff
wearing
you can get. And you're wearing the Superhero Stuff You Should Know shirt. Yes. So
available wherever you find our merch.
we typically promote some kind of charity or fundraiser on here, but I figure this episode is dedicated to Cinephile. Since they handle physical media, there's always a chance that there's a disc that people rent will get damaged or chipped or broken. But with donations, this can help continue to restore and have discs available for people to rent. Again, like with streaming, as we've come to find, you can't always trust them to still have the movies that you want when they're there. How often has it been that we put something on the queue and we're like, oh, I'll save it for later, and then by the time we're like, you know what, I'm in the mood to watch this, that like, whoops, we decided it's not going to be available this month. So here, you don't run into that problem. They have it available, whether it's going to be on streaming or not. So please donate over at www.cinephilevideo, that's cinephile with an F, cinephilevideo.com/donate, and check that
To
out.
quote Captain Planet, the power is yours.
And yeah, big thanks to Yeet for introducing me to them, and thank you to Lewis at CineFile. He was the first one I contacted about doing this, and he said, sure, let's do it. And then he put me in contact with Joe Black, who does events over there. Joe's great. He's a real lover of nostalgic superhero movies like this. You probably saw a bit of him in the interview, and you might see more of him in future things if we're going to continue doing more stuff with CineFile. And then big thanks to Nick Hines, is manning the cameras, the soundboard, got us camera angles, linked us up with a Zoom. he was exactly who we needed for someone like this in terms of coordinating. Okay, I need a camera for Zoom, but also need guests to see the crowd, and also, have the microphone in a way that people can hear us in the room, but the Zoom can hear us too. Like all that type of stuff. He helped set that up. So
He
we
did a
really
good
needed
job.
somebody like that. Yeah, like we needed somebody like that at LA Comic Con last year because
I
like
wasn't
the
gonna
audio.
say it.
The what?
I said I wasn't gonna say it, but hey,
Yeah, because the audio, we had to use lav microphones that I brought that I attached to our shirts, and it took forever to get that episode out months later because that was the only audio source we were able to do. I was not told to bring the correct cable. This wasn't from LA Comic Con. It was another person who does panels. I'm not going to name him because I don't want to embarrass him because it was an innocent mistake, but still it set us back, unfortunately, on that episode. But here, it definitely won't take as long to get this out there with Nick's help and Dan being the editor. So this is a team
Dan the
effort with
man.
the CineFile crew. Yeah. We definitely have plans to team up with them again for more live events like this. So if you're in LA and you're a Superhero Stuff You Should Know fan, definitely visit CineFile, sign up to be a member, and who knows, maybe one day you'll get to be on the show getting to ask a question in one of these Q&As. So
Maybe you'll bump
check it out.
into one of us over there.
Yeah, exactly. And with that is Superhero Stuff You Should Know. Big thanks to Dan, who is our producer and editor. He edited this, and this can be kind of a monster considering different cameras, so many different audio sources. So big thanks, Dan, for all this. Let's go into the comments. So Alex, you can go ahead and read this one. These are all on our review of Superman.
All right. This is from Jim MC. Despite a few nitpicks that may even get resolved in movies, I think I can actually see myself revisiting this movie later on streaming or whatever, just for fun, which has not been the case for many modern movies. Yeah, good point, Jim. I definitely agree. The one thing I think I did tell Amanda recently, no shade against the Marvel movies. There are some movies in the Marvel franchise I definitely revisit. But overall, I had the urge to go back and revisit this. Like, I'm like, I want to see this again. And I think it's because this movie has like a message and it kind of leaves you with like this good, like positive feeling. That's something that James Gunn actually mentioned in like an interview. It was actually the I'm blanking on the name, but it's that David Delsmalchin like his podcast that he does where they're in like
Grave one.
yeah, there we go. But yeah, where he was talking about he wants it to end where you're looking over at your buddy or whoever you brought there and you care about them a little bit more after the
Right.
the movie, and like you just feel better. And it's like, yeah, it's like it fills you with like positive feelings basically. And like definitely it was one of those where I'm like, I could see watching this over and over because it rewards repeat viewings for like the chemistry and just like everything with this. It's a really great movie and finally a step in the right direction, which we really needed.
Yeah. It also gives the feeling of being an event, which feels kind of contradictory and weird considering how many superhero movies we've had. But there was something about this one where it's just like, oh no, this is an event type of thing. You know how it is where like sometimes there are just movies where you're just like, oh, we'll check it out maybe this weekend or whatever. And there are other ones where like, this is an event. This is an experience. We have to go see this, or we have to see this again, or multiple people are seeing it multiple times. And it feels like it's been it's been a long time since we've had something like that, but that sort of event type of feel to it. And I didn't realize how much I had missed that until this experience.
Definitely.
Jackson Wayne Putnam. Jackson, welcome back to commenting. Jackson says, Michael Ian Black showing up solidified my love for this movie. So, just wish it was Glorious Godfrey.
Yeah, hey,
But,
we
yeah.
got him in Superman and Lois. Maybe he's saving them. I know that James Gunn takes every opportunity he can to bring up, also in Peacemaker, he brought him up, but Batmite keeps getting mentioned and a lot of stuff. So I feel like that's definitely on the horizon in the future.
Yeah. All right. Over to you.
All right. At Vic Martino, I just came from seeing James Gunn's new Superman movie at my local movie theater, July 14th, 2025. All right. And I am in agreement with Ben on this for the most part. I like the movie, but I did not love it. And Still feel that the first two Christopher Reeve movies, 3 counting both versions of Superman 2, are the best Superman movie ever made as far as the true saga is concerned. Um, yeah, I mean, like, like I've recently had like a moment where I used to kind of get like not like offended or anything at other people's opinions, but more just like, oh, like you're wrong about this, and I'm just like, hey, man, everybody, everybody has their opinions, and that's cool, like that, that's fine. So hey, like I would kind of argue though with that, like with the Christopher Reeve Superman movies, it's almost like you're on a different scale. Those are such held in like such high regard, like obviously, like even when I was ranking my stuff, I still put the Christopher Reeve first one as like number one, and the new one is like number two. I love it, but it's one of those things where I'm like, I like that people like the movie. It's like
Yeah.
that's the biggest takeaway. So like, hey man, like you're entitled to your opinion. I love the even though it does have flaws, I do love the other cut of Superman 2,
The Donner cut.
yeah, the Donner cut. Yeah, the original, the original Snyder cut.
The original unfinished kind of version. But yeah, thanks, Vic, and thanks for a lot of your supportive comments. I've also seen your comments on the new verse creative stuff that we've done. But yeah, thanks, Vic, for this. And it's a similar thing to what Alex said. It's kind of hard to see this as surpassing that magical, legendary first one from '78, but at the same time, that's not what it was trying. I don't think that's what it was trying to be, and I think you agree with that too. Like what it needed to be wasn't necessarily this must surpass Superman 78. I think it just had to be something that people love and enjoy and want to see more of. And looks like that it succeeded in that.
Yeah.
All right, over to the Patreon shout outs.
All right. So we're gonna go ahead and I'll just do my normal voice for this one. I'll give Stickley a break for a second. So Halsey D. Corbin, Slight Rebellion off Madison, Choco Milk, Super Infra Man. I was actually talking to I talk to Brady all the time, but I
I think we talk every day.
yeah. I was talking to some of these guys recently, but Jeffrey Scott Richards / STCT Productions, Nick Noir, Ray Valdez, Derek Osborne, Jason Price, Rebellious Monkey, 98, Cyber Six, Devin, Benjamin Vega, Nick Gonzalez, Nolan Moore, Tito G, and Logan Wood. I was talking to Logan actually recently. We were talking about the classic Bill Bixby Hulk series, but yeah.
Oh, sweet. Nice. And thank you to our other supporters. These are supporters who may reach out to us and engage with us often, or are people who have been part of the show before or contributed in some ways. And as you can see, we have a few new names on here, but we'll start from the top. Matt Herring, rest in peace. Leander Nicholson, Newverse Creative, Triple Threat Comics, The Bat Feed, Aaron Quinn, at Prof. E. Chicano Batman, Rob Ailing, Robert Schumann, Sparkageddon, Cookie Noms, Elijah B., Shamrock Balls, Ian H., Walter the Wobot, John Wells, Rye Guy, Jackson Putnam, we just talked to him about Michael Ian Black, Tway N., Stage Bat, at W.Media, that's Joey, one of our artist fans.
Talk to him all the time too.
Yeah, Paul G., Sean Willits, I just met up with Sean at the Batman Forever screening. We got to watch the movie together, so that was awesome.
Nice.
Ruben A., Yeet I., we just talked about Yeet, who introduced me to Cinephile. Mine Kidzag, Cole Watkins, at Ye Old King _ Creative Sparrow, really talented artist, and you'll see some of his work in a bit.
That's how you say that.
Yeah.
I always see that, and I thought in my head, I thought it was the Yodel King or something. Like my brain, I'm not like dyslexic or anything, but somehow my brain put it together like that. I don't know.
We'll put Cole on the podcast and see if he is able to yodel, but I think
yeah,
it's supposed to be
challenge
Ye Old
him.
King. Yeah. Drew Griffin, we just brought him up. Drew and Neil at 1995 Batman, and of course Cinephile Video for allowing us to be able to host the Fantastic Four Q&A and hopefully more others to come. So go over to www.patreon.com/superheroSYSK, where you mainly get the $5 tier or the $10 tier. $5 tier, you get early access to all our videos and episodes. You'll get exclusive episodes, one per month, of us reacting, discussing, reviewing any of the latest news or potentially going deeper into a certain topic. So in the case of July, it was going into the fan reactions to Superman, having previously recorded our review before it even had come out, and then recording an episode of us talking about the fan reactions and things that we weren't expecting to be controversial or things that we had learned afterwards. So check that out. So you can either be part of the $5 tier or the $10 tier. $10 tier, you get the monthly meetup. You'll get to meet and chat with Alex and me about all the latest superhero news, movies, TV shows. Plus, you get to influence our show in some way. We give you polls for you to vote on things like thumbnails or what episodes to cover. And for the longer interview type stuff, you get the opportunity to submit questions for those where it's might be interviews where Alex and me are interviewing a guest in this space. For the CineFile ones, we'll probably keep that towards the CineFile people who are attending in person. But if I'm able to sneak some stuff in, then we can do that too. We're also selling collections of our Patreon episodes. Each collection is somewhat of a curated playlist with a common topic. So there's one on a Tim Burton Batman films. That's a $5 price for that collection, where we go into stuff like the Batman 89 or Batman Returns movie magazines. There's another collection on X-Men 97, another collection on The Penguin Show, led by me. All of these are available on the Patreon collections. If you don't think that you can afford a monthly subscription, but you want to donate just a little bit, you can donate there and sort of buy a curated collection of Patreon episodes. So any of the money you pay to support us in Patreon does not go to our pockets or us spending it on Batarangs or the Future Foundation or any Herbie type robots. It goes to paying Dan, our producer, for the work he does for us, and goes to the StreamYard subscription that we use here that enables us to record this way. So you can check that out on Patreon. And if you don't even have the money to support us that way, that's fine too. You can follow us on our socials. Our handles are SuperheroSYSK on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all under SuperheroSYSK. And our new email is SuperheroStuffYouShouldKnow@gmail.com.
Yeah, come chat with us. Come tell me some of your favorite superhero, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Also, Alex, I'll let you model this one. You can now pick up Superhero Stuff You Should Know merch on TeePublic. So you got to give us the runway walk.
I gotta get the
to give us the logo, yeah. So it's linked in the description, but this is the new logo for this year, designed by Dan, and it's now on all sorts of merch that you can see: T-shirts, mugs, stickers, hats.
Get the sleeveless
magnets.
one. Show your guns off. There you go.
Yeah. So you can get the logo, and if you want to look like Quick Change Bruce Wayne from the Kenner action figure line, for those who've been asking me about the Quick Change Bruce Wayne shirt that I've occasionally worn on other episodes, because people ask all the time, where'd you get that shirt? I want that. Well, we have a special Superhero Stuff You Should Know version designed by a friend of the podcast, the Yodel King himself, according to Alex, Cole Watkins. So this shirt not only resembles the Kenner Quick Change Bruce Wayne action figure, but also has been worn by the Batman 89 movement double for Michael Keaton, Carl Newman, who is a former guest of ours. Carl was gracious enough to bring the action figure to life and wear our shirt as somebody who had actually worn the cape and cowl on film. And you can see from the response from the fans that they all love it and they wanted one too. So if you want one of your own, go to our TeePublic link in the description and check it out. All right.
He looks
Alex.
like he's in he kind of looks like he's in like
sorry. Is that Wayne Manor?
Yeah, there you go. I was just like, wait a second. He's at Wayne Manor. Nice.
Yeah. He's about to make a quick change beforehand. But yeah. Thank you, Carl, for that. Alex, time for your plugs.
Here we go. So I haven't I don't think I've sent Dan the thumbnail for this yet, but What Mean is on the new server. But yeah, I'll just go ahead and say that off the top. New episodes incoming. I do have an old episode that I need to find that we recorded a while back. It was a Hunger Games one, but anyway, that's coming. Flashbacks will be coming back soon, and we took a little bit of a break. Only had like one episode for July. And so that'll be coming back. We're having a crossover in the later half of August with or it'll premiere in the later half of August with the guys from Always Hold On to Arrow. They do an Arrow rewatch podcast. So those guys are coming back, and they will be doing one on the main feed instead of just a bonus episode. This time we'll be covering the first part of the Legends of Tomorrow first crossover when they first came on. And if you've seen the Superman movie recently, a certain Hawk Girl, the same one, actually appear, not the same actress, but the same
The same
character.
yeah.
That'd
Yeah,
be wild. But the same character appears in that show. So yeah. And then we have Night of the Batman. Obviously have a new episode. You guys can, whenever this comes out, maybe potentially this will be up, but I'll have one here for superhero stuff you should know, and also on Night of the Batman we'll have a separate one where you guys can check out some other questions I asked John Jackson Miller. So definitely check that out. He was a great interview. Really loved talking to him. And then if you guys are, and who knows, like everybody has eclectic tastes. If you guys are a fan of Gilmore Girls, my wife and her cousin bring on the theme of family like that show has, and do a Gilmore Girls rewatch podcast. That show's a lot of fun, a lot of I say like a lot of giggling in it whenever I describe that show to people. That show's a lot of fun. You get to hear some of their just some of their family dynamics and stuff. So that one's a lot of fun too. So check that out.
Nice.
That's it for me.
Sweet. Well, for me, on the voice acting side, over on Newverse Creative, they've released the motion comic Batman Enigma, based on the fan comic by Ian Miller, Eric Elliott, and Paul Brian McCoy. This is their take on what a Tim Burton Batman 3 would have been like, and brings kind of the fan rumored ideas to life with a Robin Williams Riddler and Catwoman's return, and Marlon Wayans as Dick Grayson, Billy D. Williams back as Harvey Dent, the Scarecrow even, which seems like a really crowded cast. And that's been my criticism of the sort of fan idea of a Batman Continues, quote unquote, of all those different elements. But they found a way to do it. They have the right balance out on the cast in terms of how to make that a cohesive storyline that doesn't feel overcrowded. And I'm grateful to have been a part of it. I'm back as the voice of the Michael Keaton Batman, since I voiced both the Keaton and Val Kilmer Batman for Newverse Creative. Last time I did the Keaton version was when we performed the original Batman Forever scripts in the style of the Burtonverse. And this time, instead of it being based off of a script, this is based off of Ian, Eric, and Paul's original fan comic. And they got to be able to pair Ian's visuals with the audio drama that Tim Maxwell of Newverse Creative has edited and produced. So we aim to have the people behind it with Ian, Eric, and Paul sometime in the future onto our podcast. So we really look forward to that. And in terms of writing, if you'd like to check out my original stuff, you've heard me talk about my indie comic series Alter Ego in the past. This is a mix of Batman, No Man's Land, with X-Men and The Departed. 5 families of supervillains take over Detroit, and our main character goes undercover as a henchman to eliminate them one by one. First 2 issues are on Amazon, and you can get a variant cover of issue 1 done by Dr. Doomcaster himself, Alex, that we see in the middle there. And issue 3 is out now, where Jace, our main character, gets to move forward with his plans to manipulate the supervillains into killing each other off. So check that out. Issue 4 is also in development. You can also check out
maniacal there.
Very maniacal, yeah. Is he going to become a superhero or supervillain? We don't know. So
read to find out.
The conceit, yeah. You can also check out my manga Musashi and Son. That's what I got my shirt for, based off the real life samurai Miyamoto Musashi and his adopted son. Again, was renting a lot of Musashi movies from CineFile, so thank you CineFile for having that, because I don't know where I can find those specific Japanese movies, that series, and not the one with Mifune. But anyway,
there's some on Max, right? I've seen
the Mifune ones are on Max, but these are a separate series.
The ones you grew up with are different.
The separate series that I wanted to check out at CineFile, yeah.
Oh, okay. So different.
Anyway, this manga, think of it as a samurai Batman and Robin as they go from village to village, hunting down the bandits that murdered the boy's father. Volume 1 is also available on Amazon. Volume 2 is currently in production, aiming to release later this year as well. Link to my Amazon author page is in the description that has all of these available, and you can also get merch from both Alter Ego and Musashi and Son at TeePublic. I'm, again, wearing the Musashi and Son one, but the Alter Ego one is available there as well, along with the Superhero Stuff You Should Know merch for the logo and the Quick Change Bruce Wayne. All of that is under the same TeePublic link, where that's all under, quote unquote, the same. I don't know, it says the same artist, but I make sure that it's pretty clear through each one who the artist was for that, because I didn't actually physically do all of them, but that's just how they list it in TeePublic. But anyway, check out that merch. And later this year, I have an animated film coming out, directed by a friend of the podcast, Aaron Quinn, a faithful adaptation of the James O'Barr graphic novel, The Crow, that I co-wrote with Aaron, who's animating. I am also the voice of the Crow in that. So really looking forward to that later this year, and we aim to do a deep dive and maybe we'll continue doing our partnership with CineFile in terms of covering, since that's very nostalgic 90s movie with the Crow. So looking forward to that. Anyway, until next time, guys, we want you to do us a favor. We want you to tell all your friends
about us.
What are we? I'm Ben Wan.
And I'm Dr. Doomcaster.
And this is Superhero Stuff You Should Know.